Hey, what is going on guys, my name is Blazekiller and today we are back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be telling y'all how to find Spook and Sinister wood in Lumber Tycoon 2. So Spook and Sinister trees are two rare and very iconic Halloween exclusive tree types in Lumber Tycoon 2. They were first introduced in October 2015, and every October since, they have been this mysterious, yet super exclusive and super desirable tree to find, only within the month of October. They only spawn within this month. So they started spawning October 1st, 6 a.m. Eastern Time, and they will stop spawning November 1st, 6 a.m. Eastern Time as well. So spook trees are rare, and so are sinister trees. To be specific, sinister trees are 100 times rare, with only a 1% chance to replace a spook tree when the server spawns one of these two types of trees. Both share the same growth mechanics, same spawn patterns, and all of that, and I'll just talk about all of those really soon. So let's talk about the tree details first. Well, they are both very hard trees. They are very dense trees. However, sinister trees are significantly lighter when it comes to weight than the spook trees are. Spook trees are very heavy. They are hard to pick up. They are hard to move. But these sinister trees are going to be significantly easier. They have a growth time of about 3 hours. They take around 3 hours to be fully grown, which is quite a long time. However, they last up to 9 hours, give or take, until they begin to despawn, or until they despawn. They are worth, in terms of money, quite a bit of money. I think only a few trees that I can think of surpass them in worth. The phantom tree, the frost tree, the sign tree, the sign wood, if you are familiar with what that is. I believe those are the only trees that are more expensive, so these are very profitable trees. However, these two trees, given that they're so rare, aren't typically used for the purpose of selling them in the wood drop-off, but rather as having as collectible items or to trade them with other players. You've probably seen players in games with super long modded pieces of Spook and Sinister wood because those sell for a lot of money, because these trees are super rare. So let's talk about how spawning works with these trees. Before anything, the server is going to make sure that the clock is past October 1st, and to make sure it's before November 1st. So really the month of October is the only time where these trees are actually going to spawn. As of a few years ago, the game defaultio introduced this stagger effect, a stagger feature, to avoid having these large droughts where trees were not spawning. What this stagger feature means is that it's around 3 to 6 hours, such that after the server begins or initializes, it'll wait 3 to 6 hours or so before attempting to spawn the first tree. Once that time passes and it spawns its first tree, or at least attempts to spawn its first tree, a 5-hour time interval will be in place, and this will be the case for every single time after this initial attempt. Which means that if the server attempts to spawn a tree, it'll wait 5 hours, attempts to spawn another tree, and so on and so forth, wait 5 hours, and the cycle continues. The maximum number of trees that can spawn on a server at once is 2 trees during the normal Halloween event, but during the end times event, in other words, aka Halloween, October 31st, 3 trees can spawn at once. During this time, the time interval is decreased from 5 hours to around 5 to 6 hours or so, to around 30 minutes. So your chances of finding one of these trees during that day, during Halloween day, during the end times event, those are synonymous, is going to be drastically higher. So you might ask, where can these trees spawn? They can pretty much spawn anywhere. They can spawn on anywhere where the server has labeled that material either sand, slate, ground, or road. I'm on a road right now. There's ground over there. There is sand over here. So there's pretty much everywhere there's going to be an opportunity for spook and sinister trees to spawn. Almost everywhere, I should be clear. There are some places where people have not found them ever. Doesn't mean they can't spawn there necessarily. It just means that, well, maybe they can't actually spawn there. I don't know. We don't know. From that point, if it meets those criteria and it has enough space to spawn as well, then the server will actually spawn that tree. The sapling will begin to grow, and then the 5-hour time interval will begin again, and we're going to wait 3 hours or so for that tree to be fully grown. So the end times event, aka Halloween day, is pretty unique, as I was mentioning earlier. At 6 a.m. Eastern Time on October 31st, the end times event will actually begin. This means that, again, these trees are going to spawn more frequently. You can have a time interval of 30 minutes instead of 5 hours. Also, 3 trees can spawn at once instead of just 2. and the server is going to look different. It's going to be desaturated, it's going to have much less color. The Woods Are Us sign and other signs around the map are going to have more of a Halloween theme. There's going to be fog around the map, and this comes into play with how we actually search for the trees. Your method for searching for the Spook and Sinister trees are going to be different during the Halloween event itself. Now, when we're thinking about the best places to find them, again, they spawn on those 4 specific materials, and there's no hotspots, contrary to popular belief. It's a misconception that there are hotspots where these trees spawn more often than other spots. However, that's not the case. Again, if the server recognizes one of those 4 materials and is successful in that it has enough space to spawn as well, then it's going to spawn. It's as simple as that. However, really good places to look are open areas, so the swamp, the taiga biome, the mountainside, the tropics biome, places that are really nice and open and easy to kind of navigate and look around and search for Spook and Sinister trees. That's probably where I would advise you to go first. They can also even spawn in the volcano actually, I believe, as well. They can spawn on the sand islands. They can spawn, again, anywhere where those criteria that I mentioned earlier are met. Alright, so how do you hunt for these trees efficiently? There are a few different strategies that are popular among the Lumber Tycoon 2 community. Probably the most popular is tower hunting. So building a large tower on your base. I'll probably put some pictures on your screen of what that actually looks like. Essentially, that means grabbing one of these ladder blueprints from Woods Are Us if you don't already have one, and then building it up to the sky super high, such that when you climb that ladder, you'll be able to see the map really well. And of course, if it's during the day, you'll have a better experience of this than during the night when there's some fog in play. But do that during the day. Look around the map slowly, carefully, because these trees could be in a more earlier time of their growth pattern. In other words, they might not be fully grown at this point, but you are still trying to look for those, right? And you're probably going to wait until it's more fully grown before you harvest it. That said, it can be really difficult to access some of these locations where the trees can spawn. Again, if one of those criteria are met, if it spawns on one of those four materials, that's all that's required. But it can be difficult to access some of those locations, like the maze ledge is one of those, an example of that. Another example I can give is where I found my spook tree one year. So I found a spook tree here, and essentially how I got to it was a combination of using long planks as well as using trees to kind of climb up that rock ledge to get to there. I also used an axe climbing glitch, which is another way you can hunt for spook trees efficiently, or rather get to the spook tree once you actually spot one. But in terms, again, of hunting efficiently, tower hunting, build a large tower on your base. You can also drive around the map, which is kind of an obvious way that you can hunt for these trees. Since we recently received the ATV vehicle, somewhat recently at least, I would recommend you using that to go kind of navigate around the map, as it's really fast, it's really small, it can navigate tight turns and things like that. But in terms of once you find that, whether you use this ladder method, whether you are just driving around, in combination with these two strategies, I would recommend server hopping, so jumping between servers. If you go on your ladder, you don't find anything. If you drive around the map, you don't find anything, jump to a new server. You can use a private server if you have one of those as well. Once you spot one, how to actually retrieve your find, you can use that axe climbing glitch that you saw in the video that I showed earlier. I made a tutorial about that. I'll put that on your screens right now. You can use long planking, which is also something that I used in that video. That essentially means putting a plank in your sawmill, putting the dimensions for that sawmill really low, such that you get a really long piece of wood out. You can also use trees to navigate and to climb on top of ledges as well, which is also another strategy I use. I really use all three of those to retrieve my spook tree, which was really hard to retrieve. It took a while, but it was worth it in the end. Now, in terms of best tools for harvesting, I would recommend using a rookery axe or a blue steel axe, or the mini axe, which is the one that I have right here. The mini axe is a great, all-around versatile axe to have. If you have any axe, though, it should cut it. However, it's going to take a long time depending on the axe that you use. So try to use a good axe, because these trees, both the Spook and Sinister, are very dense. So once you actually harvest your tree, you transport it back to your base. You can process it, or you should process it. You have to process it through your sawmill in order for it to save to your base. If you don't, well, you reload your base, it's gone, and there goes all your hard work. So put it through your sawmill so that it saves to your base, and then from there you can use it for trading with other players. You can use it to make it, a trophy of sorts of your own. Do I have any spook on this base? I do. I have a little bit left, actually more than a little bit left. Well, kind of a little bit. It's super, super heavy. I'm trying as hard as I can to raise it. You can navigate it like this, but it's super hard otherwise. And I think I don't have any more Sinister, but it's significantly lighter in terms of weight, and so on and so forth. Now, some final tips I can give you as I conclude this video. Servers are going to be more active during this time of the Halloween event, that is the month of October, so your chances of finding these trees is going to be higher because there's more servers, more chances for these trees to spawn. So again, server hop, server hop, server hop, jump between servers, and use these strategies that I talked about in today's video to find these Spook and Sinister trees the most effectively and the most efficiently. Alright, that should be everything you need to know to find Spook and Sinister trees in Lumber Tycoon 2 in this 2025 Halloween event. Whether you're after the Sinister tree or the Spook tree, patience is going to be super, super key with this. These trees are meant to be rare, they're meant to be exotic, they're meant to be exclusive, so be patient with this. And if you don't want to be patient, hop on Halloween and then just grind on Halloween, and your chances of finding them on Halloween are going to be significantly higher. I found that spook tree that I showed you earlier on Halloween, so if all else fails, go on Halloween and hopefully you can find one then. If this video helped you out, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the bell for me so that you won't miss an upload from me. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you then. Peace out.